6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Dilini Gunawardana, assisted by Sanjay, and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The Energy Minister assures an uninterrupted power supply island-wide. The Cabinet nods to release water from the Samanalawai Reservoir for agriculture purposes. Drinking water shortages are reported in 12 districts. The Uma Oya hydropower project will add 120 megawatts to the national grid. The citizen-centered health service procedure will come under the purview of the Minister of Health. Foreign news, Rahul Gandhi is reinstated. In sports, it's tennis. Dan Evans beat Talon Griggspo to win first ATP 500 title. News in detail. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara says that the Ceylon Electricity Board has planned for an uninterrupted power supply island-wide throughout the year with no scheduled power cuts. In a Twitter post, Minister Wijesekara asserted that currently the full capacity of available power plants is in use for power generation. Meanwhile, a meeting was held at the President's office yesterday with the CEB and the Department of Irrigation in order to discuss the options related to ensuring a continuous power supply with no scheduled power cuts. During the meeting, details related to the power generation for the next year, the release of water for agriculture, hydropower capacity, and thermal power options available will be shared and discussed. Moreover, another discussion pertaining to the settlement of the dispute between the landowner of the CEB to complete the Asian Development Bank Finance Polpitiya Hambantota transmission line is scheduled to take place on Friday. The 150-kilometer transmission line connecting the southern province has come to a halt in the last 3 months due to a dispute over the government valuation for a 650-meter stretch of land where the lines are connected through. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved to release the required amount of water from the Samanalawai Reservoir to the Udawalawa Reservoir for agriculture purposes while finding alternative solutions for the national power requirement. State Minister of Power and Energy D.V. Chanaka says, accordingly, the relevant authorities have been informed to release water for agricultural purposes. The Disaster Management Centre says that 12 districts across the island are currently facing drinking water shortages owing to the prevailing dry weather conditions. The Director General of the DMC, Major General Sudanta Ransinghe, emphasised that around 48,000 families have been affected by the issue thus far. He further said that arrangements are being made to distribute drinking water to nearly 156,000 affected individuals within these districts using the bowsers attached to the Disaster Management Centre. The government has spent around 2 million rupees to provide drinking water within the last 2 weeks alone. Attending a press conference held today in Colombo, he further said plans are underway to provide necessary water for any school or hospital suffering from shortage of water. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Uma Oya hydropower project has been completed. The ambassador of Iran to Sri Lanka, Hashim Astajada, informed Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardana that the project has been implemented in the end of this year. He expressed these views at a meeting held at the Temple Trees with the Premier and the representatives of the relevant company. Accordingly, 120 megawatts will be added to the national grid. This would further provide irrigation to over 50,000 acres of land. 2 groups of experts would inspect the Umawe project within the next 2 months, after which electricity generation and provision of irrigation would commence soon. The citizen-centered health service procedure will come under the purview of the Minister of Health with effect from 31st December 2023. This project was implemented in 600 hospitals island-wide with the financial assistance of the World Bank. The project is aimed at recognizing and strengthening the primary health service of the island within 4 years. The director of the project, Dr. J.M.W. Jayasundara Bandara, disclosed that 1.3 million citizens have been tested for non-communicable diseases within a given period. All the citizens above 35 will be issued a health report and the relevant data will be included in a general database. The Sri Lanka Navy conducted a special operation to chase away Indian poaching trawlers from Sri Lankan waters this morning. The operation led to seizure of Indian trawler with 10 Indian nationals poaching in island waters off Alampil in Mullaitivu. The Navy continues to conduct regular patrols and operations in Sri Lankan waters to curb illegal fishing practices by foreign fishing trawlers. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In the main news story, the Food and Agriculture Organization delivered 8,360 metric tons of urea fertilizer this week to the Minister of Agriculture for distribution during the forthcoming Maha cropping season. This has been made possible through generous funding from the government of Japan. The essential fertilizer will be distributed to over 228,000 smallholder paddy farmers across several districts in dry and intermediate zones of Sri Lanka. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
In Watch Live this evening, the farmers in Tamuttegama, Bellan Kadavala, Tala Kolawava and Delnagama say that their paddy cultivation is threatened by a herd of wild elephants. The elephants harm both the paddy cultivation and other crops. The farmers further say that they are undergoing great difficulty in protecting their crops. They request the Divisional Secretary of Tamuttegama to attend to this matter, and that came to you in Watchlight.
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
World News Headlines. Rahul Gandhi is reinstated. Ukraine replaces Soviet hammer and sickle with trident on Kyiv monument. And Philippines summons China envoy after water cannon incident is disputed sea. World News in detail. Rahul Gandhi has returned to Parliament for the first time since he was convicted in a criminal defamation case. The Congress party leader had lost his lawmaker status in March after he was sentenced to 2 years in jail. He was reinstated as MP today, 2 days after the Supreme Court suspended his conviction. Congress leaders celebrated his return by shouting slogans and distributing sweets outside Parliament. The towering Mother Ukraine statue in Kyiv lost its hammer and sickle symbol on Sunday as officials replaced the Soviet-era emblem with the country's trident coat of arms. The move is part of a wider shift to reclaim Ukraine's cultural identity from the communist past amid Russia's ongoing invasion. Created in image of a fearless female warrior, the statue held up a sword and a shield. But now the shield features the Ukraine trizub, the trident that was adopted as the coat of arms independent Ukraine in 1992. Manila has summoned Beijing's ambassador a day after Chinese Coast Guard blocked and used water cannon on Philippine vessel in the disputed South China Sea, according to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Philippines on Saturday accused China's Coast Guard of using water cannon to block its vessels carrying food, water, fuel, and other supplies for its military personnel stationed in 2nd Thomas Shoal in the Spratly Islands. Manila condemned the actions as illegal, excessive, and dangerous. Back to the headlines of the world news. Rahul Gandhi is reinstated. Ukraine replaces Soviet hammer and sickle with trident on Kyiv monument. And Philippines summons China envoy after water cannon incident in disputed sea. And that ends World News.
Development News is brought to you by
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037 7500 500.
Minister of Environment Nasir Ahmed said Sri Lanka will launch the Climate Justice Forum CJF for the valuable and developing countries at the 28th meeting of the Conference of the Parties at the upcoming 2023 UN Climate Change Conference. He revealed this during a press conference themed Collective Path to a Stable Country held at the Presidential Media Center on Sunday. And that was Development News.
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign agents are now on. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches, Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 0377 500 500.
On to sports news. Britain's Dan Evans won the first ATP 500 title of his career by beating Talon Griggspow in the City Open final in Washington, D.C. Evans, now the world number 21, triumphed 7-5, 6-3 against the Dutchman after a 90-minute rain stoppage. British number 2, Evans required 4 break points to take the opening set before play was suspended at 2-all in the second because of rain and lightning. After the restart, he cruised through his remaining service games until he saved 4 break points in the penultimate game of the match. He is the first Briton to win the tournament since Tim Henman in 2003. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB I am, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Domino's Pizza achieved a historic milestone last week as it opened its 50th store in Panadura, becoming the fastest QSR to reach this mark. Since its launch in 2011, Domino's Pizza has rapidly expanded its presence, serving customers across the island with its diverse menu and unique offerings tailored to cater to local tastes and preferences. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB I am, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara inaugurated the 15-megawatt wind power plant built in Mannar by Hiruras Power Company, a subsidiary of Windforce plc. The 15 megawatt of wind power generated with 6 wind turbines was added to the national grid in Mannar. The plant was constructed with the help of local engineers and labour and commissioned before the scheduled completion in September. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
Several spells of light showers will occur in the western and Sabragamu provinces and in the Galle, Matra, Kandy and Nuwara districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the eastern and Nuwara provinces and Polonnaruwa district during the evening or night. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. And that was the weather report. Prior to concluding this news broadcast, the headlines once again. The Energy Minister assures an uninterrupted power supply island-wide. The Cabinet nods to release water from the Samanala Reservoir for agricultural purposes. Drinking water shortages are reported in 12 districts. The Uma Oya hydropower project will add 120 megawatts to the national grid. The citizen-centered health service procedure will come under the purview of the Minister of Health. Foreign news, Rahul Gandhi is reinstated. And in sports, it's tennis. Dan Evans beat Talon Griggspow to win first ATP 500 title. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.